Speaking of crazy, man, we gotta talk about Meek Mills, man. You know what I'm saying? He's still hurting. He's hurting for the bread, man. You know, Gillie Da Kid, man. Shout out to Gillie, man. $1 million worth of game, man. You know how he does, man, with Wallow over there. He's been beefing with Rick Ross, man. Bebo P's favorite artist, man. He writes so heavy, man, and Bebo P just loves what's going on with that boy. So
he even put his own FRSHOUT in there. There you go.
But Meek's got Rock Nation off of his back. He can start getting a little bit more bread, man, and stop bunny hopping with all them billionaires. But he still got that Rick Ross contract, man. He's been signed to him since he was 19.
Okay.
And he's 35 now.
Because Ross is buying cattle and horses and all this other crap. Should he let Meek off the contract and just rip it up and let him do his thing?
If that's the case, you know, with this quote unquote 1914 or whatever deal that Gillie Da Kid's talking about, whatever,
Harriet Tubman deal,
that Tubman, man, so much Tubman. Wow. But no, I mean, if this is the case, then absolutely, and we talk about this all the time. Regarding J Camp's favorite influencer, Sus Diddy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
FOH, my guy.
Nah, but straight up and down, I mean, and by the way, Sus Diddy and Rose and that ilk, they run together, so you know they have a similar mind. But absolutely, he should let him out that deal. It's easy for one thing to be said to the audience, and I believe the last time Rose made mention of this was on some interview, and he essentially claimed that Meek was upset at Atlantic Records and didn't really and basically like kind of framed it that way, but kind of left it there. But then Meek responded on social media and was asking Ross like, "Yo, how much money did you make and not only make for me, but spend off of me in my music, you know, getting the opportunity, which that doesn't, and you know, speaking of Atlantic, no, you know, Meek's just really been through the ringer, man, because he got Roddy Ricch taken from under his belt, you know, under his wing. You know, because he was going to sign Roddy Ricch to Dream Chasers, and that got, you know, snatched away from him by Atlantic, I believe, while he was locked up. So, you know, Meek's just really been through it when it comes to business and just, you know, putting his trust in, you know, certain individuals.
Let's be clear. He lost Nicki Minaj too and all them cakes, man. He lost the booty meat.
Did he lose it, or did he gain something by losing that one? I don't know.
Hold on, man.
All right. Are you saying those buns aren't real, Lionel? Are they really silicone?
On, man. 3240 got the coup on.
To your point, though, Bebo.
Go ahead, take it.
I mean, we can also say that he should have had a good lawyer with him reading over that contract. I mean, I'm not taking anything away. I'm not saying that he shouldn't get out of his deal or that Rose shouldn't let him out of his deal. And that picture is killing me too, Iceberg, with that smile back there.
That Rose right here.
Yeah, put it in there because he's getting haunted by that contract, man.
It's so grimy. But at the end of the day, like Pep said, you signed your name on the dotted line. Meg signed her deal. You know what I'm saying? At the end, I'm not saying Rose shouldn't let him out. Right. But Meek did put pen to paper, regardless of how we feel, how grimy he is. He went pen to paper though.
It's funny you mentioned that because two things. One, you mentioned that he should have had a lawyer. One of the things that Meek mentioned in his social media expressions like a year or so ago was just that. Like, can I get a lawyer? Like, who knows a lawyer?
Like, you 19, bro. Like,
no
19-year-old is ready for that, for like owning that responsibility of reading through a contract.
Devon. That's so my thing is like, why hasn't somebody went in there and put them bats on somebody, man?
Well,
I mean, facts.
Well, with
that was about to be my next point. I was about to say hands should be tossed, because if it was me, I'd be tossing hands. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, Meek was one of his strongest artists. Now, if you want to be all the way real, Meek probably is his best artist that he signed that Rose has signed. I can't think
Right,
of a better
right.
artist he signed. I mean,
And
I'm a Stolly fan, but he ain't better than me.
I would say the only person
he's
with a
not been
chance
more
Wale.
successful than me. I like Stolly better as an artist, but he's not been
sometimes he gets off beat a little bit too much for me, but peace to Stolly. Nonetheless, though, the second thing I was going to mention real quick before you go in, was the fact that, and I might have to take this little tinfoil from you.
Okay, go ahead.
Is when there's a video of that I saw a long while ago where you see Rick Ross and Meek Mill signing the contract, and then if you look real closely, Rick Rose slightly shaking his head after that signature got signed. Like, dang, brother, you just fell for it like most everybody else.
Sign your life. I mean,
yeah. So it was that type of bull too. But I think that with that throwing the hands bull, I remember last year sometime, Rick Ross tried to get into Meek Mill's birthday party in LIV in Miami, but Meek Mill didn't allow it. So I think Meek was trying to kind of keep the peace while still keeping his distance apart from him, as far as that's concerned. But go ahead, L, you could take the Koofy back. Take that Koofy back, bro.
Nah, man. I mean,
35-44. Let's go.
No, as far as potential best artists, I would say Wale's up there a little bit. I think Meek is probably still the better one, but I think the only person who gives a little comp is
Wale's up there, right? Too.
Yeah, Wale's
I forgot Wale.
So
definitely Wale.
So now I'm gonna get to the next thing, which is that
tighten that Koofy.
Well, let's talk about the business like we always do, and
this is why you come in.
One of the things that goes on, right, is that a lot of these guys, they don't really quote unquote own a label or whatever. They have an imprint that has a distribution deal with somebody else and so on and so forth. So many times when people end up signing these contracts, they are signed to 4 and 5 people when they sign that one single contract, right?
He said it, man.
And and that's what happens, right? So it's like, oh man, you signed to Rick Ross, then you signed to Atlantic, and then Atlantic goes through Priority, and then Priority goes to Universal or something. And before you know it, you got 4 or 5 different companies with a little hand in the pot or whatever. So I do think that some of it is probably that I bet there is a half truth in what Rick Ross is saying, is that some of that problem is probably with Atlantic, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure,
all day. Yeah,
but
we know Atlantic be raping people. Pause.
And facts, and they probably have life insurance on Meek too.
Probably so.
Yep.
All the way around.
And to your point, real quick, before you keep going, L, I think I saw somewhere that with the Dream Chasers, that was a Rock Nation affiliated situation too from the business end. So he had creative control, but with other things on the back end, maybe not as much or not so much. But go ahead, brother. Just wanted to share that tidbit.
So one piece of it is probably that like Rick Ross could do something, right? But the other piece of that is that Rick Ross probably has to go in, and he's also probably got to convince Atlantic, and then Atlantic's got to go in and convince the next person. And so what you end up having is that there might be 3 or 4 people that have to get on board for quote unquote,
let him out the deal.
For Rick Ross to let him out of the deal. So maybe Rick Ross, I have no clue, but let's just get into our speculation. Koofy bag is to say, hey, maybe he really does want to let him out, maybe. But maybe he's just like, man, I don't want to do all this hard work to go in and have to convince Atlantic and convince whoever, all of this other stuff or whatever. So he's just like, whatever, man. Because like, honestly, when I look at, Ross, like, I don't see like an active like businessman. I see a lazy businessman. You know what I'm saying? And so I think honestly that like, Rick Ross just really want to make music, and if he can make a little money with a little label, whatever. But I don't think he's like the day-to-day operations of whatever is happening there. I don't think he's like knee deep in it. You know what I'm saying?
But I go back to what Devon is saying, man. Like who does this nowadays?
Well, I mean, it's.
And I'll tell you one more thing.
Go ahead, brother.
I'll tell you one more thing is that I used to consult artists all the time when I was young. Okay, and when we was heavy in the music game, and we've had a couple of different people, you know what I'm saying, come in and hand out this contract. And the contract would be like, oh, it's 8 albums or 15 years. And they're like, man, I'm going to sign it. I'm going to sign it. And I tell them all the time, don't do it, man. Like, you don't need to do nothing more than like 3 albums max.
Stop the cat. We're not doing that.
Yeah,
Max.
but there was people that would argue and be like, oh man, but this could be this and this could be this. I was like, hey, listen, man, do whatever you want to do. But my suggestion to you is do a short amount of time as you can. And that was just common sense. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of people.
Now this is why we need to get Son on the show, because I guarantee you he's dealt with this before with the Woo situation. You know what I'm saying? Then because remember LB and Socrates, y'all got a contract from a company in New York. And it was like
nasty.
10 albums or something like that.
Nasty, man. Nasty. So, like I said, I've seen
who signs this stuff.
Yeah, like who our homeboy in Nap, he got some contract from I think Will.i.am or something like that. And yeah, it was like a 10 album thing. And I was like, hey man, like do whatever you think you need to do, but this is nasty. You know what I'm saying?
I would have
done
it.
The question is though, like with you guys being artists, you guys have been rapping, right?
Yeah.
Why do artists not want to do it themselves?
It's too hard.
It's just easier. Yeah.
Label.
It's too hard.
It's easier to just let somebody else handle it.
Yep.
And nobody's going to market. Nobody's going to market better than the machine, so to speak.
To say that it's the whole marketing aspect of it. It takes a lot of work to put that in. I mean, you gotta be on your E40, on your Master P.
Oh yeah,
you gotta be selling tapes out the trunk. Going city to city,
Meek just on a
that's a different type of mindset.
And cats don't have that. To say, and Meek at the time, just for the longest, not even just business wise, but just personally, he was just not really focused on being solid.
He didn't
on
have the best circle.
Yeah, he didn't have the best circle. He didn't really didn't have or follow the best wisdom. Man. I mean, you look at the number of times he was arrested, just on a personal note, not trying to highlight that or not like that or knock him. I'm just saying, like from the personal to the business, it just wavered to the point where he was in a real bad situation financially and behind bars.
Do you think Meek wanted to be famous or rich?
Both.
Famous.
You're talking about the dichotomy of a guy that named one of his projects Dreams and Nightmares. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Shout out to Les Dog, man. The lack of knowledge, man. Come on.
There you go.
To y'all point though about that circle, right? To be able to go at it yourself, you got to have 4 or 5 strong dudes at your side to be able to go at it.
Still boo boo.
The almighty joint wasn't there, brother.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, man. Like if you looking around and all you see is 2 guys and one of them guys is flaky as hell, man. What are you gonna do? You 18. You got 2 or 3 flakes around you, and one guy that's gonna hold you down.
Flakes.
Yeah, you know how that goes when you 18. You know what I'm saying?
This is a good question, man. But what did Meek learn from being around Hov? Did he learn anything? Because
I think so. I do.
Really?
He learned he need to get out that deal. That's what he learned.
He did. But he said he's still affiliated to some degree with Hov in comparison to, your Grand Hustles and your MMGs and so forth. Like he still at least spoke somewhat, highly, if you want to call it that, of Rock Nation, to say the least, when, there was speculation of him leaving. So I just wanted to throw that out there and, to tie in to respond to what you said, Iceberg. But go ahead, J Camp.
No, I'm just going to say that we rubbed enough elbows with each other to understand, like, so it's obviously a smart, like, nah, don't take that one. You know what I'm saying? They set you up for a 10 album joint.
Yeah,
don't do that one. We can do all this we doing now.
Just put the Vaseline on, man, and just hit the booty cheeks, man. You're getting screwed.
Yeah. Nah, dude, I was literally reading my man's contract one time, and it said the homeboy got paid off of the revenue, not the profit. So I said, well, man, I was like, do you realize that, like, if the dude gets paid off of revenue, let's say that you make $100, but he has $100 in expenses, he still gets his $10 or $20 or whatever he gets off of your 100, even though you didn't make a dime off of that, because he's getting paid off the revenue, and that's what the contract said. I was like, you be a fool to sign this, because all he has to do is rack up your expenses to whatever it is that you got paid, and now you ain't getting a single dollar. But this stuff happens all the time, and then what people will tell you is, oh man, this is just a boilerplate contract. Man, get this boilerplate mess up out of here then, because it ain't going down like that.